You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are these things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, we are the oldest living podcast in existence that still operates, putting out 1 to 2 new shows a day. And so you are on a wonderful journey of us to see if we can survive to be the oldest living podcast in existence. And sadly, our folks, our compatriots, sometimes keep passing away on us. I think we lost some other people the other week. Help us support the show and keep my heart beating. Every time you subscribe, my heart beats just a little bit faster, and it helps clean out my arteries. But if you don't subscribe or get your friends to subscribe, I wither and die. Go to goodreads.com / Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com / Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTok yells, crazy place on the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author is brought to you by Majestic Authors Media, specializing in strategic marketing and publishing to help authors reach their ideal audience and maximize their book success, turning powerful messages into global impact, one story at a time. Today, amazing young man joining us on the show and talking to us about his amazing book that we're going to get into today, The Science of Global Warming and 4 Ways to Fix It, by Dr. David Edward Cummings. And we're going to get into it with him. And he's a doctor too, so he knows his stuff. I'm going to ask him if this looks infected too. But in the meantime, we'll get into it with him. He is a pioneering physician, medical geneticist, researcher, and author whose career is focused on human genetics, behavioral disorders, and Tourette syndrome. After graduating from Northwestern University Medical School, he trained in internal medicine, hematology, and human genetics before becoming head of medical genetics at City of Hope Medical Center, where he worked for 37 years, published more than 485 research articles, abstract, and book chapters. His groundbreaking work helped establish Tourette syndrome and related behavioral disorders as polygenic conditions. After retiring in 2002, he explored the relationship between genetics, neuroscience, evolution, religion, and faith, while continuing his interest in bird photography, nature, and emission-free energy. Welcome to the show, David. How are you, sir?
I'm just fine.
Do you want me to call you doctor during the show or just David?
Just call me David.
So give us .com's websites. Where do you want people to find out more about you on the interwebs?
A good question is, how did I get involved in writing this book? I've always been interested in global warming. Mm-hmm. And when I retired, which was back in quite a while ago, I decided I would probably write a book. But then Trump had the first presidency. And when I saw him pull us out of the Paris Accord, and when I saw a whole bunch of Republicans clapping and screaming for doing that, I thought, wow,
yeah,
I've got a job ahead of me. So I thought if I could write a book which clearly explained that global warming was real and that it really was due to burning fossil fuels, and that there were some things you could do about it, and send it off to every member of the Congress, people, maybe I could change some minds.
So you went about writing this book then?
Yeah, so then I wrote the book, and that's the name of the book. There was an earlier version, if I was a billionaire, these are the 4 things I would do, but that was kind of a clumsy title.
Yeah.
So
plus, they don't care.
Yeah, change it to current title.
Most don't. I think there's some billionaire folks. But and let me get your .com's, your website in here, a plug for that really quick if you want to give it to us.
It's called thecummingsfoundation.org.
Ah.
And it doesn't sell anything. It just gives more information. Yeah.
Now, this is pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on. We just saw, I believe it was Seattle or Portland, burn like in a way that's just like the Parks Palisades burn, Maui burn, where it's just wiping out, whole subdivisions in many cities, right?
Absolutely.
And in Utah, where I stayed for the winter with my mom, normally winters up here, they're kind of like 6 to 9 months of a thing. They let you know that Utah's a winter state. We had across winter only 2 or 3 snows. That was it. And normally we're just piling of snow all day long. And the ski resorts were just complete mud. And then now we're seeing the downside of it, just like you see in California when wildfires happen, then the mudslides come, and the floods come, and then it becomes a cyclical disaster of impending doom. So now we're seeing that. We're seeing these huge fires. The whole West is seeing that. And if you're at the point where you're still denying global warming, it's really hard to argue that point logically in the face of all these. I think last year, the year before, California had its first hurricane tornado or something that came in from the ocean, like in 125 years or something. Shit's going wrong.
One thing that was written up in the LA Times I thought was interesting, and that is all of this is happening in Europe too.
Yeah.
And horrible. And there they pull climate change up front and center. Mm-hmm. But in this country, you hardly hear anybody talking about climate change being related to all this horrible weather and wildfires and everything. Not sure why. Maybe they're chicken.
Denial, maybe.
Not so much denial. Maybe they're just afraid of what the president will do to them if they get too.
Yeah, that's probably true too. It's really wild that we have this energy shortage with these nice data centers we're supposed to be building. And it was just announced, I think, yesterday or the weekend sometime. I saw a news article that they're giving away another $1 billion to some wind companies. They're now up to $4 billion they paid wind companies not to make energy and to disable their energy to the grid.
Can you imagine any worse thing for your taxpayer money than doing that?
Oh, they're imagining over there, evidently. They're trying to find something worse. But yeah, that's your money, and you're paying to have less energy and higher energy bills. And if you see what's going on in West Virginia and a lot of these coal-based Republican states, their bills are bigger than their mortgage, their utility bills.
It's been shown clearly that wind and solar are by far the cheapest form of electricity.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really hit me when I started researching this was there's a thing called the Keeling curve. The Keeling curve is a measure of the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And this has been going since 1958. At that time, there was about 380 parts per million. It's now up to 445 parts per million. Wow. But the other thing that I found out, which really blew me away and concerned me, is not only is the amount going up, which you would expect as long as emissions are continuing, but the rate at which emissions are going up is going up. Yeah. Let me give you some figures here. For example, in 1967, it was going up at a rate of 1 parts per million per year. In 2007, it had doubled to 2 parts per million per year. By 2023, it almost tripled, and in 2025, it was 3.5 parts per million per year. So not only is it increasing, it's increasing faster and faster and faster. There was another measure, not in parts per million, but in gigatons of carbon per year. And there in 1960, it was increasing by 1.8. And by 2020, it had gone up to 5.0 gigatons.
Wow.
And then there's another element called the Earth's heat imbalance. The heat imbalance of the Earth is a reflection of the amount of heat that goes into the Earth from the sun over the amount that goes back out again, radiated back out again. And the heat imbalance of the Earth now is astronomical. It's been estimated that it's equivalent to, hold on your seats, 432,000 atomic bombs going off in the ocean every day.
Wow.
That is an enormous amount of heat coming into the planet. Someone else pointed out that in 1925 alone, the global ocean uptake jumped a staggering 23 zettajoules. Now, nobody knows what a zettajoule is, but it's a huge amount of energy. And they said that is 200 times more than the entire production of electricity by the entire human race.
Whoa.
And that was 1 year. It's just incredible. And no wonder we're seeing what we're seeing now with forest fires and horrible weather and everything else. And to deny that's happening is beyond me.
Yeah, a lot of these billionaires, they want to be able to do whatever they want to do, like they do in third world countries. They've always hated having to do business in the U.S. because they have to follow EPA guides and rules and regulations and stuff. Yet they can go to Vietnam or China or any other places, and China doesn't care about its people. Go ahead, use them, lose them, treat them like shit. Put up some suicide nets so they don't kill themselves. We'll be fine. And other countries as well, where they don't mind. Oh, you want to dump the asbestos in the river? Go ahead. We don't care. Pay us off. Pay some Goomba off, and you can do whatever you want. They've dreamed about bringing that here, and that's really where they're at. Billionaires are globalists. They don't give a fuck about America. They want just to make money.
That I pointed out in the book was there's a book on the ozone hole by Susan Solomon. And she pointed out that the ozone hole was found to be due to the presence of chlorofluorocarbon compounds in the atmosphere. These came from spray-on detergents.
Oh, wow.
And not a single government tried to outlaw that, and not a single company said we're going to stop making it. But guess what? A huge number of women said, screw you guys, we're just going to stop using this stuff. And the need for this chemical dropped precipitously, and they stopped making it, and they found another alternative that didn't get rid of the ozone layer. The moral of that story is that if governments opt out of not doing a damn thing like ours has done, or billionaires not that interested, individuals can do a lot. And I found a number of ways that they can do a lot. One of the four mechanisms I talk about is a thing called enhanced weathering. There is a rock called olivine, which is actually a very common rock on the Earth's surface, which, when ground up, combined with water, picks up carbon dioxide and converts it into a mineral form where it is safe for years and years and years. Now, if you spread this across the surface of the Earth in large numbers, then you can pull out a lot of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and safely store it.
Wow.
The other thing I pointed out was that if we could get oil companies to use this, to mine this stuff, I call it the new oil, process it and sell it at their gas stations, then individuals using a drone could mix it with water and spread it out all over the place. Now, this is a way in which thousands and maybe even millions of individuals around the Earth could actually make a huge difference.
Yeah. I guess we have to figure out to show people there's more money in saving the planet than there is polluting it, I suppose.
Actually, you're correct. You save trillions of dollars by addressing this and controlling it than by letting it just go on and do nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you partake about this in your book and address it. Now, your background is in this area, right? You spent a lot of time with science and different things.
My background is in science and science. Initially, it was in genetics, but I was interested in a lot of different things. So when I retired, I turned my attention to global warming and writing this book.
That's awesome. I mean, we need more science, especially with what you see going on with the white nationalist, quote unquote, religious takeover coup of our government. And it's kind of scary what's going on. And yeah, you see the disabling of the wave machines. I don't know what they're called. I'm clearly a hack who has a podcast. There was something that we're measuring the global temperatures of water and waves out in the Pacific and I think the Atlantic. And now the administration is disabling that. They're basically making it so we're not going to see the next thing coming, whether it's a pandemic or anything. And I guess just, I don't know, if you close your eyes, ears, and mouth, hear no evil, see no evil, be no evil. But what'll happen is what's evil. There was somebody asking John F. Kennedy Jr. what preparedness plan is for the next COVID pandemic. And there's like no plan. He had nothing. And so these guys are leaving us wide open to just everything going wrong. So
like instead of making America great again, they're trying to make America less great than it was, because we had some programs going under Biden and we had a lot of efforts to control global warming, and that's all been shut down now.
Yeah. Jesus will take care of everything.
He would be horrified.
Jesus wanted those houses in Portland to burn, evidently, according to
horrified.
the logic. Yeah, he would. Hey, he certainly wouldn't be a Republican, that's for sure at this point. I'm not going to do that joke. Anyway, some jokes don't get done on the show.
Maybe we need him back to convince people what to do.
It might be time to have him convince people, because I'm an atheist and I'm more Christ-like than most Christians I know.
You and I are the same belief system. In fact, I wrote a book called "Did Man Create God?" and I concluded that the answer was yes.
Yeah. He's imagined like 5,000 gods over eons of history. In fact, the Jesus story was repeated, I think, about 10 or 15 times before it finally caught with the Bible. But the same story, the same immaculate pregnancy, that story was hundreds of years or thousands of years being retold in different ways and different people. And finally, somebody just, I don't know, got the right publisher, I guess. Convinced everyone was real. Meanwhile, good luck finding the DNA on any of that stuff. It's kind of like the Book of Mormon. It's completely devoid of DNA, and there's no proof. Anyway, so the science of global warming, can you give us the four? You may have already told us one or two, but can you give us the four ways to fix it?
Enhanced weathering. There's another one which is called in situ. And see, one of the problems right now is companies are pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and burying it. That's all right for 1,000 tons or maybe 1,000,000 tons to multiple gigatons. All it takes is an earthquake to release all that stuff.
Wow.
Carbon dioxide is deadly. It spreads like a carpet of death over the earth because it's heavier than air. There was an episode in Africa where a lake erupted with multiple tons of carbon dioxide. It killed 3,000 cattle. It killed 1,000 humans. It killed all the bugs and all the birds in the area. The place was just silent. This is a deadly, deadly thing if it's released. So we want to do it safely. And the way to do it safely is to complex it chemically with other things. So the other one I'm talking about is to inject the carbon dioxide into basalt. Basalt is like olivine. It also complexes with carbon dioxide and turns it into a mineralized form. It's been estimated there are enough basalt deposits around the world to sequester 1 trillion tons of carbon dioxide.
Whoa.
If we took advantage of that, that would help.
Yeah.
The other two that I had in mind is one of the reasons the heat imbalance is so horrible is that the albedo of the Earth has decreased. The albedo is the reflectivity of the Earth, and that's due to glaciers and sea ice. If those melt, then the reflectivity goes way down. And that's one of the reasons why this heat imbalance is so gigantic. And then, of course, the final concern is the acidification of the ocean. And I present a whole chapter on how to reverse that.
So there's a way to reverse some of that stuff, huh?
Yeah, but all of these are soluble. If you simply got people convinced that it was real, that it's getting worse, and we better do something about it, or our children and our grandchildren are going to be in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah. It's hard to say that it's not getting. It's hard to say that it doesn't exist at this point. It really is wild, some of the stuff that are happening in countries that live like Florida, Vienna, and different things like that. They're starting to really see that come in, and now we see the wildfires. The lakes are really shallow. I was up at one of my favorite lakes, I think 2 weeks ago, and it used to be the water came right up to the patio of the restaurant. Now it's 100 yards out there or so. Whoops. And it's kind of wild. And you're like, wow. And I lived in Lake Mead, and I lived in Vegas for all these years, and to see Lake Mead just keep drying up. They keep having to go in and take the boat docks. They have to keep moving them down every few years, and they have these things, I guess they call them the straws or something, and they're what the water cleaners for your drinking water. They have these straws that go deep down into the lake. They keep having to make new ones because the lake keeps sinking below the thing, and
it can hopefully convince deniers is to look at glaciers. In Alaska, there are a couple of gigantic glaciers that are almost disappeared because of global warming melting them. That takes an awful lot of abnormal heat to do that, because those things are huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now, even in Utah, with only having just a limited winter, the heat and humidity here is off the chain. It's unbearable here. I feel like I live in Vegas, but Vegas has 3%.
Vegas is just as bad now.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. And the humidity is just killing me here. But yeah, it's just, you get out in the car and you just feel like you're out in I don't know, some solar sun, nuclear winter or something. I don't know.
Well, one of the ways I thought you could catch people's attention was by pointing out what's going to happen to their children and their grandchildren.
Yeah.
If you don't do something right now, nothing has been done anywhere in the world by any countries which addresses the problem the way it should be addressed. Everybody's emphasis is either cutting down emissions, which is very, very important. That will not stop it. That will just keep it from getting worse.
Oh, wow.
And there's nobody that's pulling this stuff out of the atmosphere at any kind of level that's going to do any good, unless you really get lots of governments together to do the job. Yeah.
Well, I guess the hope for the billionaires have right now is that we're all just going to go to Mars and I guess abandon the planet.
If you gave me the money that it takes to go to Mars, I guarantee you I could put a huge dent in global warming.
Yeah. I'm fine with putting all the billionaires on a rocket and have them go show us how cool Mars is. We got a few Mars experts on the show, and that's going to last about 5 minutes.
You just see about 3 or 4 people like stepping off the spaceship at Mars and saying, "I want to go home."
Yeah, good luck with that. It's a one-way trip.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not, and it's I don't know. It's the whole idea is stupid. We got enough problems here than focusing on Mars, but I guess pie in the sky bullshit money is pie in the sky bullshit money, or whatever you want to get the government to pay you for replacing NASA.
If Elon Musk wants to spend some of his money on that, okay, but don't have the government spending money on it too.
Yeah.
Waste.
Yeah.
Use it to combat climate change instead, please.
Right now, I think we can put most of Congress on Mars. I'm all for that. See, we'll just tell them that the senior citizen hospice care is on Mars, and half of them will just board.
That's a cute idea.
It's getting a little old. The old is getting a little old. We have people that are walking around with dementia. We have people that we don't know if they're dead or not because they're hiding in a hospital until, I don't know, re-election things. It's getting really fucking stupid. But if you like to clown, this is what you get. Or circus, I suppose. What else do we need to know about your book, maybe that I haven't asked you about that's important?
Well, one thing that's obvious from hearing you talk is that I'm going to have to eventually bring my other book to you called Did Man Create God? And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll chop that up. And I'm a big Christopher Hitchens, Four Horsemen Apocalypse fan, Sam Harris. I listen to him. I wish Christopher was still with us. I really miss him. He would be having a ball with what's going on right now.
I think your idea of bringing Jesus back, convince people they got to do something about global warming, is the best thing.
Yeah. We might get Christians to behave like Christians if Jesus comes back. We need him to come back and be like, most of you going to hell at this point. Yeah. And you elected pedophiles. Good job, man. Way to go.
Global warming and hell too, so they can be used to it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they're afraid. They know it's coming. I want to live my life coolly so that when I go to hell,
Before I lose you, Chris, this book is available on Amazon.
Okay. Is your battery dying on your computer or phone or something?
Say it again.
Is your battery dying on the computer or phone? You said before I lose you.
Oh no, I didn't know when you were going to sign off.
Oh, okay.
I see this number creeping toward 30.
Okay. We're fine. The good conversations are the long ones. So people read this book. They can check out your other book as well. Do you have any other forthcoming works maybe that you're going to do on global warming or any future books? I
was thinking just the other day, I may write a fourth one or another one about global warming and showing more detail how individual people can address this problem and help. Lots and lots of stuff that I could put in a book like that. So that might be the next one. You too can help. You too. Only you can save global warming. Yeah. I watched the Portland fires. Portland fires. Yeah. Anyway, I watched the fires up there, and it was really just
hairs on end. You'd see these people that are in a perfectly good subdivision. There's a fire on the perimeter out by the hillside somewhere. Yeah. And they're in a sea of houses. And I remember seeing a couple of them. They're in the middle of like all these houses in suburbia. And I'm like, and they're like, yeah, that fire is really moving fast. We might want to evacuate. And I'm thinking,
it looks like what we had here 2 years ago.
Yeah, in the Park Palisades. And then what was the other fire that they had? The electrical fire there in SoCal.
The Eden fire.
Yeah, and Maui. Yeah, and these guys were on the camera, and they go, yeah, man, it's moving a little fast. Maybe we should evacuate. And I'm like thinking, I want to evacuate. There's like 50 homes between you and there. If I just draw a direct line, you're in the middle of something, like it's not going to get to you. You might lose a couple homes, but then the fire department's hosing homes down, usually has it in control. And then to go back and just see those neighborhoods wiped to the ground off the face of the earth in mass, it was horrifying. I can't imagine what it's like to be that way. A friend of mine had that recently, who's up in Silicon Valley area, and her neighbors came by and said, "You got to evacuate, grab some shit and get the hell out of here." And thankfully, it didn't happen. What happened in all these places, but one of my friends in the Park Palisades, he just thought it was kind of a joke. He had his home in this Park Palisades. He's a big computer guy, nerd, whatever he does for work for computers, and everything is your hard drives. If you take my hard drives, I'm kind of screwed for a while, because everything in my business is on my hard drive. And so he didn't even think to take those. He just kind of left. He grabbed some, I don't know, his phone and a cord and was like, yeah, big deal. And he lost everything. And I'm just kicking myself because, like, why didn't I grab more shit?
Thank God for the cloud. He should have dumped everything on the cloud.
Hopefully it wasn't the cloud. I don't know. I didn't ask him. He said he lost it all. So I don't know. He may not have. You probably don't want it up there, or whatever's in your porn history or something. Anyway, you don't want people finding out if you're dead. So make sure you always pay the guy who comes and wipes your computer when you kick the can. As we round out the show, give people a final pitch out to pick up your book and .coms where they can find out more about you.
Great. Now that website I told you about has my story all about me. Bore the hell out of you.
Go ahead and give us a .com if you would. Can you read it out for me?
BecomingFoundation.org. COMINGS.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Dr. David. We certainly appreciate it.
It's been a real pleasure. I can see that we agree on a lot of stuff.
Science, man. It's just,
absolutely.
I think the thing right now in 2026 that makes me most mental is I thought we'd finally entered the science age and gotten rid of idiot cavemen who, I don't know, they saw something in the sky and thought it was whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, we're finally getting into that science age, and now we're just clawing right back to the dark ages of the space.
And then Trump cancels $500 billion worth of science.
Research. And then I don't know,
cancer and everything else.
Yep. So cancer, longevity, it's already bad enough. We have the worst healthcare in the system, and I think we die earlier than most countries now, or something like that. Yeah. It's crazy. So anyway, keep up the good work and keep up the fight, my friend. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to my audience for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. You can find it at all those wonderful places and good stuff. It is entitled The Science of Global Warming and 4 Ways to Fix It by Dr. David Edward Cummings. Thanks to my audience for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.